Kyle here from allmeatreviews.blogspot.com. Marillion Monday, hopefully going forward, or as many Mondays in a row I can do this. And I've done, I think, 6 albums, something like that. So there's like 12 left, so 12 more weeks, hopefully one a week. I don't know. We'll see if I may do more than that. So today I'm going to do 2001's album, Anoraknophobia. This is my copy, pre-ordered. I was part of the whole campaign thing, so if you really look, you can find my name in here somewhere. The interesting thing about that is that all these names and stuff is that there's tons of like Harry Potters and Luke Skywalkers and stuff like that, you know, historical names, and it was funny the way they did that with that. But yeah, so I'm in there. It sort of comes on the heels, because it came out in 2001, it comes on the heels of Marillion.com, which had all the photos, which unfortunately I can't claim to have done that. I wasn't in touch. I didn't know that was happening, of the fans, or a lot of fans. I don't know how many it was, like 100, 150, 200, which that came on the heels of their 1997 tour. With their tour, the U.S. was crowdfunded. So the whole it's been discussed and documented, but not enough. It's not talked about enough that, you know, Radiohead, you know, crowdfunded or gave away their album for free, blah blah blah, and within Rainbows in 2000, whenever it was, 2009. I think Beyonce did something similar later with, I think, Lemonade, maybe. Not that they were the first people to ever do anything like this, but they were doing this before Radiohead. Anoraknophobia was crowdsourced. They did the whole thing with the tour, and I know Marillion.com, the album before this, which came out in 99, also might have been. But this was like the official one that I knew about. So anyway, but this was the first record they put out, obviously, of the 21st century, and there's a song called "This Is the 21st Century" on it. So this is my copy. Unfortunately, my copy has taken a little bit of a beating. I don't have a standard copy. I should get one, but you know, nothing amazing about the actual compact disc artwork. But Anoraknophobia, the title, which honestly, being a Marillion fan at that point for like the better part of 6 years, it came out, I think, May of 2001, if I'm not mistaken. I wish Spotify had that. I think it was May, because I remember this distinctly, getting it. I was living in my first apartment, May 15th, 2001. And it was the second album, I think, on the Racket Club, or it might have been the first one on Racket Records. I'm not sure, the Racket Club per se. But anyway, this version I have includes on the second discs, it's 2 discs, because this was the campaign edition or whatever. Number 1, the song Number 1, which is great, but I think it's a live version, because I only think of that song, the live version. Stephanie Sobey Jones plays on it, plays cello. But then demos, Fruit of the Wild Rose, separated out between a You and Me remix. So, and then there's a video on the second disc, also videos for number 1, and while they were recording the demo, and then Map of the World also, as you can see. So, but you know, the story goes for me with this record, and this was kind of the first album that came out when I was actively using the internet. I mean, I had been on the Freaks email list, which is a Marillion email list, in the late 90s and 2000, but I was using message boards and like the Yahoo clubs or groups as they became around this time. And so this is the first, honestly, this is the first album that came out that I really was interacting with the fans online, I felt like. So it kind of, to me, was like Marillion 2.0 fandom in a way, with the, you know, talking with the fans. Although the truth be, I didn't talk with the Marillion fans on the Marillion message board that much. I'm not going to get into, I just didn't have the best experience on Marillion's message board for various reasons, but being a Dream Theater fan and like Progressive Ears, which is progressive rock community, I was talking to them about this album. That's what I'm getting at, is that I finally was discussing this new Marillion album with Marillion fans. It just wasn't on the Marillion official page, but And yeah, I mean, it just kind of felt like that. It was the first sort of new album. .com, I'll get into when I do a video on .com, but I don't want to compare them too closely, but I definitely waver back and forth which one I like more. Cause I like to compare them, those two together. But I listened to it again today, and oh man, this is a terrific album. Although I forgot how long it is. Actually, it's only 8 proper tracks, but each song is like, I mean, I was looking on Spotify when I was listening to it. 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes, 9 minutes, 5 minutes. Map of the World's only 5 minutes. 9 minutes for When I Meet God. Almost 7 minutes for The Fruit of the Wild Rose. Separate Out is 6 minutes. 11 minutes for This Is the 21st Century. And If My Heart Were a Ball, It Would Roll Uphill is over 9.5 minutes. So this album is well over an hour. You know, it just doesn't feel as long because it only has 8 songs, or the songs flow pretty well. I mean, I think of the hooks in them. If I go in my favorites, for the longest time I would have said This Is the 21st Century and Courts. Those were, when I got this album I think of this album most for those 2 songs as sort of go-to. But I've always also had a thing for the last track. If My Heart Were a Ball, It Would Roll Uphill, and what's the other one? It's The Fruit of the Wild Rose. Those are both trippy. When I Meet God, I loved, kind of liked. Listening to it again today, I really love that track. It's epic. It's got like 2 parts to it anyway. And I think it's not longer than it's 9 minutes or over 9 minutes, but it doesn't feel like that. Between You and Me and Map of the World are both good sort of poppy tracks. I think of this album a lot for those songs in the sense that they don't sound like a prog band. They just sound like they're writing. The whole comment that Hogarth made, like about Rich on the previous record, it's just pop music in a good way. Which, yeah, I mean, yeah, they're poppy. I prefer those 2 tracks over, say, stuff off of like Holidays in Eden, the poppier tracks on there. So, yeah, I mean, the thing about this album, it has a lot of elements to it. It doesn't sound as sort of the 90s style and 80s style Marillion. It sounds different in a way. It's very jazzy and it has a lot of funk or groove elements to it. Ian's drums are very clean and mixed, almost like they sound jazzy at times. The lyrics are very kind of spiritual or like questioning faith, I don't know. This is the 21st century. The fact it was the first album they released after the turn of the century, everything like Y2K, and people didn't know about that stuff. I think Hogarth as a lyricist, I don't know if he wrote all the lyrics. I wonder if they had John Helmer or some of the other people. But the lyrics are definitely sort of wondering what the 21st century might bring, both with technology and culture and the size of the map of the world. You know, she could go everywhere. Traveling around the globe isn't maybe as it once was 50 or 100 or years ago. It's more accessible in a sense. It definitely kind of has like a sort of, we're finally into the 21st century feel to it, asking those questions, and I always think about that. I think about the time of this. Of course, this album came out May 15th, 2001. God, there's a lot of names and stuff like this they did thanking. That was only a few months before 9/11, which, you know, changed things pretty dramatically too. So of course I did eventually pick up the vinyl for this. I don't have every record by Marillion on vinyl, unfortunately. I don't have, besides themselves I mentioned last week, not yet. But I do have this one, and if your favorite band, here's the gatefold. How do you kind of say, you know, you have a huge bias when it's your favorite band, but you got to be honest. And honestly, this record, I think over time I haven't revisited it as much as I might have thought when I loved it when it first came out. But I mean, more of what I'm trying to say is it's a really good record, and I think I probably should listen to it more. It's a standard black, the red labels there, red and it's brown. Has the lyrics on it, of course. But I've really, and what's an anorak? I used to think of the title Anoraknophobia as like arachnophobia. I don't know if it's a play on words for that. And I didn't even, at the time, I had never heard of what an anorak was either. But I know what it came to be known as is just someone who's sort of an outcast for taste. And I don't know if it was just adopted by Marillion specifically, but Yeah, it's just standard black. It's an interesting artwork on the labels, though. Um, but it's sort of like it kind of embodied and sort of represented from a one word or name standpoint, someone who's a fan of Marillion and is sort of an outcast. Or there's of course they have that sound clip and talking about freaks on the song "Separated Out." You're separated out. The whole thing. I mean, honestly, I have to admit that there's a little bit of a South Park element to the artwork. I don't know if there was any thought about that, but it's never really bugged me. I'm not really a South Park fan, but yeah, it's sort of the whole belief about, you're a fan of this band and nobody knows who they are, or nobody likes them if they don't know who they are. But it doesn't matter to you because it's sort of your little secret. But I mean, you still kind of champion them, but with a lot of the music I love, a lot of the things I love, and a lot of progressive rock, of course, that's kind of the case. But it's a mouthful to say to an extent, Anoraknophobia, but I don't know, it's very unique. It's like Tarkus or what Dream Theater did with Octavarium. It's a very unique word that's never been used really in anything else that I know of. So, but yeah, I mean, I wondered if, like, the sound clip from I don't know, some film from like the 40s or 50s, like 40s maybe, and separated out the sound clip talking about freaks. I wonder if that's sort of like a sequel to the song Freaks in a way. It never occurred to me until recently. I was thinking about that. Wait, then Freaks and Freaks. I wonder if the Marillion fan base probably would have. I don't remember it being brought up, but it probably did. There's just a lot of stuff on this record. The textures they use. This is the 21st Century is still a really good song, even though it kind of floats along and goes on for maybe a minute or two too long. It's a very Steve Rothery driven song, but the lyrics on that probably has struck me as much as the music itself. In that, it's, a wise man once said, love was only a piece of, means for, what is it? A wise man once said, love was only, let me get the lyrics out here. This is on, that's right, because the lyrics are on both of them. I mean, it's one of those kind of anthems or themes or kind of motifs I think of. A wise man once said, "Flower is only sexual." Let's see here. Now where's the wisdom in that? Wise man once wrote that love is only an ancient instinct for reproduction, natural selection, and wise. Thinking about where humans have come. Now we're the 21st century in recorded history on the Christian calendar, of course, but. It's very sort of inspiring, moving, I mean, it's the wall of sound that they had done here and there at points. I don't know if I would say what it goes back to exactly. Brave, even. Maybe at points even before Brave, but it's definitely a style or texture, an approach to some of the quote-unquote songs or pieces they've written. Rothery specifically has been driven the band sound to an extent on a lot of music that's come since. I'd say the Marbles and Happiness is the Road. Some of those they all have like pieces where they have these kind of ambient guitar textures that don't overstay their welcome. For the most part, I like them and I enjoy them. I enjoy the kind of it's a David Gilmour influence or whatever. It's just those kind of spacey ambient guitar textures. So, but yeah, I mean, every song here, Quartz, it's got the texture, I don't know if it's Mark Kelly or if it's driven by Pete, the bass, of course, on that song. And like, if My Heart Were a Ball, it has like a kazoo. Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of pieces, a lot of parts of this album, while it's not maybe as prog as some of their like more epic, time-changing songs. It's more progressive in the sense it's using different textures, and it's not sounding identical to some of their even previous records. Even like Radiation, I talked about that, I love that, but this album doesn't sound that much like Radiation if you listen to it. There's definitely, even though that was only like 3 years later. So, anyway, hi Marillion fans, what's your take on Anoraknophobia? Where's rank? What about song number 1, which I think is, well, I don't know what song I would have taken off. I think should have been included. I don't know if it was a space thing on the CD or not, but number 1 is like sort of the forgotten, underrated track from this period of time that most Marillion fans don't often think of, and some of the casual Marillion fans have probably never even heard. So, But thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.